Every summer, about the time that the annual cicadas start calling, one of our largest wasps appears, and they can be quite intimidating because of their size. Their yellow, black, and reddish-brown coloration only adds to their menacing look. These wasps are called cicada killers, and unless you are a cicada, you really don't have anything to worry about from them. Cicada killers are super interesting insects that play an important role in controlling cicada populations and provide food for many species of birds. So let's dive into what a cicada killer is, where they live, and their interesting reproductive strategy. Cicada killers are large, solitary wasps that are active in the mid to late summer and are among our largest wasps. They get their name from the only food they feed their young, cicadas. Sometimes common names make sense. There are 4 species of cicada killers found in North America. The eastern cicada killer, Sphecius speciosus, is the only species found in most of the eastern U.S., so we tend to drop the eastern part of their name and just call them cicada killers. I'll be doing that in this video. If you live west of the Mississippi River, or in very South Florida or the Keys, then you may have a different species and the details about your species may vary a bit. Our eastern cicada killers can range in size from 0.6 inches to 2 inches long, with females being larger than males. The female eastern cicada killer is the largest wasp in eastern North America. Despite being big and intimidating, cicada killers pose little to no threat to humans or pets. The males are the ones most likely to fly up to us. Basically, they're just checking us out to make sure we're not another cicada killer. It's the same thing male carpenter bees are doing when they hover in front of us earlier in the spring. Male cicada killers don't have a stinger, so they pose zero threat to us or our loved ones. The females do have a stinger, but very, very rarely use it against people or pets. They are too busy digging their nesting burrow, capturing 1 or more cicadas for every egg they will lay, dragging those cicadas back to their nesting burrows, and just generally going about their lives. For the most part, they would rather fly away from a perceived threat than attack and risk getting injured or killed. In order to get stung, you would likely have to catch and hold on to the female cicada killer so that it felt like she had no other option to get away than to use her stinger. I have mentioned cicada killers preying upon cicadas, but cicadas aren't what the adults are feeding on. The adults will visit flowers to drink nectar or even feed on sap oozing from trees. Only the larvae eat the cicadas that their mother puts in their egg chambers. But there is a bit of life history we need to cover before we get to that point. If you love to learn about awesome predatory insects, then pretend that like button is a nice juicy cicada and give it a whack like a cicada killer. The adult males emerge from their underground burrows before the females emerge. This usually happens around June or July. About the same time the annual cicadas start to appear. Each male will try to establish a territory in the general vicinity of where it emerged. If multiple males emerge in the same area at the same time, they may fight for territory. These fights consist of aerial dogfights, where the males kind of wrestle around and one tries to get on the back of the other, which will determine the winner of the fight. The fights will continue until one of the males gives up and flies off. If anything, including you, enters a male's territory, it will quickly fly up to see if the intruder is a cicada killer. The adult females emerge from their underground burrows shortly after the males. The first order of business is to mate. The female will then fly off to find a suitable place to dig her nesting tunnel. She is solely responsible for digging her own nesting tunnel, provisioning it, and laying her eggs. Neither the male nor any other females will assist her. Cicada killers prefer to dig nesting tunnels in areas with dry, loose soil and little vegetation. The female uses her jaws and front legs to loosen the dirt and pushes it out with specialized spikes on her back legs called tibial spurs. She may also turn around and push mounds of dirt out with her head and front legs. Her nesting tunnel may be several feet long and have multiple egg chambers branching off from the main tunnel. The soil removed from the tunnel and the egg chambers is often piled around the entrance and can be one of the most obvious ways to locate nesting tunnels. After creating a nesting tunnel, the female cicada killer hunts for cicadas. She appears to hunt primarily by sight and will often attack cicadas in flight. The impact of a female cicada killer impacting a cicada in flight can make an audible crack that is easily heard if you are in the vicinity when it happens. It is really quite impressive. When she attacks a cicada, she grabs and stings it. The venom she injects into the cicada paralyzes the insect, but does not kill it. She then carries the cicada back to her burrow. The cicada she captures can weigh up to twice as much as the cicada killer. If she captures the cicada close to the ground, she may drag it all the way to her nest if the nest is close by, or she may drag the cicada up a tree or other object before taking flight with it, so she doesn't have to lift off with it from the ground. Once back at her nesting tunnel, the female cicada killer will drag the paralyzed cicada into the tunnel and into an awaiting egg chamber. Each of her young will have its own room or egg chamber within the nesting tunnel. Female cicada killers choose the sex of their offspring by deciding whether to fertilize each egg that they lay. Fertilized eggs will develop into females, while unfertilized eggs will develop into males. If she is going to lay an unfertilized egg, then she will only put one cicada into the egg chamber before laying an egg on the cicada and sealing up the chamber. However, if the egg will develop into a female, then 2 or 3 cicadas will be put in the egg chamber before the egg is laid. The female eggs are given more food because they will develop into larger adults. Both the adult males and adult females will die before winter. The eggs hatch a few days after they are laid. The larva that emerges will feed on the paralyzed cicada or cicadas that are in the egg chamber with it. After a week and a half to 2 weeks, the larva will have consumed all of the food in the egg chamber with it, leaving nothing but cicada exoskeletons. Pretty gruesome if you're a cicada. The larva will then spin a cocoon and go into a state of suspended animation known as diapause until the following spring, when it will pupate and later emerge as an adult in the summer. Wasps of all kinds are common visitors to the pollinator garden, and a great resource to help you figure out which wasp species you are seeing is the book Wasp, A Guide for Eastern North America by Heather Holm. This book has wonderful photography, and its large 9-inch by 12-inch format means the photos are nice and big and easy to see. It is well laid out and provides all the information needed to help you ID the wasp visiting your garden. It is a super cool book, and I'm sure you will love it as much as I do. I will have a link to it in the description. This is an affiliate link, which simply means we get a small commission from the seller, which helps to go support the channel if you purchase the book. No extra cost to you. As predators, cicada killers help keep cicada populations in check, but as large and fearsome as they look, these keen predators are also prey for several species. Many species of birds feed on these large wasps, and some will even steal the cicadas they have worked so hard to hunt down. Large robber flies will also sometimes tackle cicada killers as prey or to steal their cicada cargo. Cicada killer nests are also often infiltrated by flightless female velvet ants, which are another type of wasp that go into the nest to lay their eggs in the already made egg chambers, and then their larvae are going to feed on the larvae of the cicada killers. Yep, there's a lot of wasps that either prey on or parasitize other species of wasps. Satellite flies are also known to deposit their larvae onto the paralyzed cicadas the females are bringing to their nest. So what do you do if you have these large ground nesting wasps in your yard? In my opinion, the best course of action if you have cicada killers nesting in your yard is to not worry about them. I know I would be super excited to have a super cool predatory insect living in the habitat around my home. They aren't likely to cause any harm to you, your loved ones, or your yard. They will also help keep your cicada population in check and provide food for the songbirds in your area. If you can't stand the idea of having them nest in your yard, then your best course of action is to create an environment that the cicada killers don't like. This means keeping the ground moist and making sure you have a thick, vegetative ground cover that they don't want to dig through. Spraying cicada killers isn't a long-term solution because the adults will die in the fall anyway, and if the area attracts cicada killers this year, then it will likely attract new cicada killers next year. Although cicada killers can be intimidating because of their size, they pose relatively little threat to people. The males don't have stingers and are totally incapable of stinging, and while female cicada killers have the means to sting a person, they rarely do so. They are too busy digging nesting tunnels, hunting and capturing cicadas, and laying eggs to defend their nesting sites. In the end, they are a very interesting creature that plays a valuable role in the ecosystem, much like another misunderstood insect that often lives around people, the eastern carpenter bee, which you can learn all about in this video, and be sure to take some time and enjoy nature in your backyard.